When do you think of a name for your podcast?
Yeah.
Is it right when you start shooting it?
Welcome to the Your Car's Warranty Extended Podcast. We're here to talk to you about your car's extended warranty. That'll get people to listen. Welcome to the Humanity Sells Podcast, where we talk about the marketing revolution that's happening in tech consulting and how the best businesses are elevating their brand, amplifying their message, and selling more by being more human. We're your hosts, Brandon Triola.
And I'm Netti. Let's get into it.
Here we are, man. The Humanity Sells Podcast.
We did it. We flew across the country. We're in Northern California. I almost said Southern California. We're in Northern California.
It's crazy. Something that I want to say is I'm nervous about this.
Me too.
I listen to a lot of podcasts. Who doesn't, right?
Yeah.
I think for me, it's like there's a lot of like mediocre podcasts out there. There's also a lot of great podcasts, and that's what scares me a little bit is just doing this and making it valuable. And I'm just being open and vulnerable about that. But
wait, let me match your vulnerability. I got to put skin in the game too. Okay. I'm a little bit nervous because, there's a lot of people out there, not just in marketing and branding, but in every topic, whether it's sports or, I don't know, any kind of creative industry.
Lots of industry verticals.
There's a lot of people who want to prop themselves up and say, I have something to say. Listen to me.
Yeah.
And I don't really like the idea of being lumped into that category.
Yeah.
I have something to say, but it's because I want to help people think a little bit differently, not necessarily because I need them to see me a certain way.
Yeah. I didn't think I'd be here. Did you?
No.
I didn't think I'd be doing a podcast. In fact, I'm used to being the guy behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Helping other people do the podcasts. So it's just a bit weird for me. And, but I'm excited about it. I think it's important to note that you should do a podcast when like the timing is right, not just when you think you have something to say. And one of the reasons why this has surfaced as an idea strategically, well, there's a couple reasons, but people are asking us to do this. Mm-hmm. Our clients are asking us to do this. People that we know are saying, you guys need to get this thinking magnified and amplified. And that's something that you talk about a lot, is being good amplifiers.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to think about this whole context around what does it look like to be a really good amplifier of not just an idea, but something that's helpful that we actually believe can help change, I believe, an entire industry, right?
Yeah, I mean, just before we get into it, just to go back to something that you said, I want to unpack it real quick. You said, I don't know exactly what you said, like the word for word, but you said we don't have to wait till we know everything to then start talking about it. Yeah. And I think it's important to just show that we're very much a work in process, we're very much a work in progress. And this podcast is not only intended to be helpful for leaders in digital transformation and marketing and branding and business growth, it's also helpful for us to work out our thinking in real time with each other and talk through like how our business is growing, how we're thinking about branding, marketing, because I feel like the landscape is changing so fast for everybody. By the time you perfect your perspective and say, okay, we're ready to talk about it, the ground has shifted.
Yeah.
So it has to be sort of like a real-time thing, but I think that's what people can expect, us working out our thinking in real time along with us, but we have some cool things to share as well. To
that point, I'm going to say something that'll provoke you that I think is important for the people listening. I don't think the world needs another marketing podcast from two white guys. And that's one of my reservations about doing this, because I think they're a dime a dozen, and I think there's lots of brilliant marketers out there to talk about marketing and talk about different kinds of marketing and how to do it.
Yeah.
And I think just adding to that is not something that appeals to me. And if I didn't feel like we had something really unique and helpful for technology leaders, then I wouldn't be doing this. But I don't.
What is it? What do you think is unique and helpful?
I think that one of the biggest problems facing technology leaders right now in terms of their brand and marketing and really their business growth is their inability to humanize what they do and talk about it and present it, package it up for the world and make it relatable and trustable. That's the point for the title of this show, the Humanity Sells Podcast. We believe that sex used to sell, right? Fear will always sell to some degree. But if you really want to sell when it comes to tech, we believe that being human is the answer. That's why it's called Humanity Sells. And I really believe that. And I believe that you can have all the marketing tactics in the world. I believe you can have you could have the best, brand consultant in the world. But if you're not humanizing what you're doing, you're wasting your time, and you're just going to add to this echo chamber of jargon and confusion.
Yeah.
That is the reason why technology consulting companies, digital transformation partners, that's the reason why you're not growing at the speed you should.
Yeah.
Because it's not human.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want this to be part of the echo chamber where we're just repackaging what Donald Miller has been saying for a decade, or Simon Sinek has been saying for a decade, or Tim Cook has been saying for a decade, or insert your marketing, your
Seth
Godin.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's not what this becomes. Hopefully there's a unique enough perspective here that can be like adding to the conversation, not just recycling the conversation too. Which means, I think too, just like to go out on a limb, we might say some stuff that people disagree with.
Sure, I hope we do.
I think if you're just part of the echo chamber, you'll find more agreement, because these are already ideas that are solidified, tested, and proven. But if you want to innovate, especially in the area of B2B tech, if you want to do something different, it's going to take a little bit of a risk. It's going to take like taking action before some validation. I
love that you just said innovation. Why do so many digital transformation companies have the word innovation on their website? And when it comes to their brand and marketing, they're doing the same things they did in 1989.
Are you asking me that?
Let's talk about that maybe to get the ball rolling here.
Wow, that's it.
Innovation. But we're not innovating.
Well, I think that they do. I think that it's very clear that a lot of tech companies do innovate from a tech perspective.
Sure.
I do think that what ends up happening in tech, what you see over and over, is that to lead in tech, typically, at least from the companies that we have worked with, I can't speak with everyone, but typically to become a leader in the tech world, you have to have some sort of demonstrated success in the tech world in the past, which usually means that you're either a coder yourself, or like an engineer yourself, or some kind of accounting or financial mind in the tech space. These are the ones that are sort of rising to the surface. So when you say why are they why do they preach innovation, but for brand and marketing they're still doing what they've done in 1989? It's because those that are now leading these companies have had a lot of success innovating from a tech perspective and are still innovating from a tech perspective. But it is the innovation is very walled off over in engineering. They're doing amazing things. Like some of the products that are out now are insane. They're beautiful.
Yeah.
They're really powerful. The engineering is extremely innovative. The problem is branding and marketing hasn't kept up with it.
Wow. Enough said. Case closed. We'll see you guys later.
That's the end of the podcast. Thank you all. We have no further thoughts.
No, that's good. I think something that I want to talk about right off the bat is whoever's listening, you listen to lots of podcasts, obviously. Who knows why you're listening to this? Maybe you saw an ad, or hopefully somebody referred it. Why should people listen to us? I think that's really important. It's a question that we ask our clients to answer. Why should anybody listen to you? How can you empathize with the people that you're trying to get to listen to you? How can they trust you? Why should they trust you? So I think we should just tell people maybe a little bit about us, who we are.
Sure. I'll go first. I'd like to intro you, and then you intro me.
Okay. Now I'm even more nervous than we started.
Well, I feel like so many people want to be like, "Hello, my name is John Smith, and I'm so good at this. You should listen to me." Yeah. Which I think is silly.
Well, why don't you start with who are these two white guys then? Why are they doing this together? How do they know each other? And let's back it up to maybe the mid 2000s.
Oh my goodness. We can go to the early 2000s. So Brandon and I grew up on the same street. That's me breaking the fourth wall. How you doing out there? Our producer's cringing right now.
Market Street, off Market Street, Northeast Ohio, small town called Hartville.
8 houses. We grew up 8 houses away from each other. Now Brandon was 2 years older than me, and so for those of you whoever had friends growing up in your neighborhood, if you lived in a neighborhood growing up, you know that 2 years older might as well be a decade older. You're way too cool. You're always very cool. Look at you. Look at how you're dressed. You're the coolest.
These are all
orange glasses. You don't even wear glasses, and you have orange glasses on today. It takes an extra level of confidence to pull off wearing glasses when you don't even wear glasses.
My vision's not even impaired. These are blue light glasses in case I'm going to be in front of a blue light at some point
Which
today.
You are.
I want to be ready. I'm trying to protect my vision.
I didn't mean to throw you under the bus. I'm just trying to illustrate that you're very cool. 2 years older than me. Extremely cool.
Nothing to hide.
After high school, We both did some traveling together. We were abroad for a while. When you met your wife, you asked me to be in your wedding. 2 years later, I asked you to be in my wedding, which you did so when you were on crutches, which was cool. I never saw anyone
Yeah, I was
do a
in
wedding.
Nate's wedding. We could put a photo of that to overlay on this video or something. Yeah.
So the point is we've known each other for a long time, but here's a real key. We were not working together for a long time. And I wouldn't say we went our separate ways. We were buddies, but we were not working together. Getting all the way to now, Brandon spent the last, 15 years prior to Forrest building his own business. He is, I would say...
I'm so nervous right now.
I would say you are a foremost expert in connecting brand and marketing with business growth, visual design with business growth. I would put him toe to toe with anybody
very kind
in
of
the
you.
world to figure out how to take creativity and turn it into revenue.
Creativity is a cost center, though, right? Basically.
No, it is not. We can get into that. But Brandon cut his teeth in the personal development author space. He's worked with multiple New York Times bestselling authors, designed book covers. He figured out how to build digital products and launch them in a very short amount of time build the products in a short amount of time, resulting in millions of dollars in revenue over a weekend. He's done this multiple times for years. Brandon also learned storytelling from some of the biggest names in storytelling early on in his career. It was taught to him directly how to use these tactics to influence business. So I will sum it up by saying this. There's not a more creative and thoughtful human in the space.
Appreciate that.
Yeah,
That's
and I mean that too.
I'll expound on that a little bit. I think going back to what I said earlier about being behind the scenes, I'm used to being behind the scenes because I became fascinated about 10 years ago, not just with how things look and our experience, but why do people buy things? I wanted to make the stuff that I was working on get bought by people. And we were creating products that were really expensive at the time, thousands of dollars to buy a course or buy, a digital product. And I became fascinated with learning from the marketing people, learning from the copywriting people, the messaging people, what makes a person open their wallet and spend a lot of money. And it's not just tactics and techniques. It's when you boil it down, connecting with the person that you're selling to at a human level and getting them to trust you is why they will buy from you.
But not in a manipulative
way, in a human way.
Because you have something real to offer them, something that will actually help them.
And I became obsessed with this and how this interacts with brand building and how this interacts with all these other things, right, that we do, people write books on, that we talk about it. And when you narrow it all down, it's humans buy from humans. There's a book on this. It's called Human to Human. They wrote, it talks a lot about this. There's other books. But I became fascinated with this. And so... Then I
would say that you are the best bridge between a business and a human.
I've been called worse.
And connecting the two through creativity, strategy, design, some kind of creative expression to bring the two together. I would say that you are...
Thank you.
A complete expert at
So I'll sum it up. I spent about a decade figuring out how to do this with personal development brands, authors, best-selling authors, speakers, in the artist management space. I've worked with all kinds of best-selling authors, New York Times bestsellers. There's a long list. I won't talk about them. I've worked on brands like campaigns for stuff like Chick-fil-A, people from Chick-fil-A, Southwest, and just developed this thinking and was actually able to grow creative business way past what you would think you could grow a creative business to be bringing in revenue-wise. I had 2 people on my team, and I think it was the year of the pandemic, actually. I think we did like $245,000 in revenue that year, which is unheard of for just a creative business with 3 people. But that's because we were weaving these principles into what we were doing for our clients. They were seeing crazy results. And this all sort of culminated, and right during that year as well, when you and I connected and we started working on stuff together in the tech consulting space. And that's when I realized, oh my gosh, in this world of B2B tech, it is missing this human element. And if we could just help these tech leaders figure out how to elevate their brand and amplify their message and humanize who they are and what they do, we will see them experience success.
Yeah.
And which segues into you. A little bit of backstory about Nate. I think this is so cool because people are like, who are these guys? Why have we never heard of them?
Randos.
Because we've gotten really good at being behind the scenes so other people can succeed. And I think if you have marketing people, if you're listening to marketing people, they better be really great at being behind the scenes. And if you've got a great marketer or a great brand strategist or somebody that can just be behind the scenes and be successful, you've got somebody you should talk to.
Probably like a credit thing. Like you're not really, to be a great marketer, you have to be less concerned about getting credit.
That's exactly right. And there are so many people out there right now creating content, creating marketing content, creating branding content, and they're spending 98% of their time creating content because they don't have any clients.
That's really true.
Like they're not doing a wrong thing.
That's probably why it took us 3 years to get into a podcast.
Yeah, this is why
we've been making a business. We haven't had time to make content.
This is why this is hard for me, because I actually am more comfortable behind the scenes helping the other people do this and helping their businesses grow. And I've been doing it for 10 years. Segue into you and I working together on stuff. I think it's a really wild backstory, but you grow up with somebody, you become friends, you move away. You don't stay connected to everybody, right? Some friends you don't talk to anymore. You and I we always just texted and stayed in touch. But I'll never forget, Nate called me one day and was like, hey, I need you to jump into this Zoom chat. And while my trajectory went more towards working with authors, building digital products and courses and working with publishing companies, Nate's trajectory took him two directions, really, like took you into this world of music.
Yeah.
Where you went really, I would say, really deep into understanding music and understanding how to make music and understanding the music world and working with some of the most talented musicians and becoming one of the most talented musicians that I know.
Thanks, man.
I'm not a musician, so maybe I don't know, but and at the same time, you developed relationships with these business leaders that were leading like design agencies and working with some of the largest brands in the world. Like Nate worked with Whirlpool and worked on United Airlines and clients like that and doing content and business strategy. And so when our paths crossed, it was like weird magic almost, I feel like.
Yeah.
'Cause we've been friends for a long time, but we found out like we have this ability to take a brand or a business problem and fix it with humanization. That's so weird to say out loud. Like,
I think it seems obvious now in hindsight, but I think both of us, here's the secret sauce. This is kind of the DNA of the podcast and why we think it's important. I think that we both, for a long time, have been invested in understanding ourselves and growing personally. Yeah. Getting through childhood traumas, getting through like working out, like just being great men, trying to be great husbands, trying to be great dads. And
if you figure that out, let me know.
No, we're certainly not there yet. It's just, I don't think you ever get there, by the way. You die still with a lot of work to do, never mind, forget that.
Great.
But what I'm trying to say is
that's like, another podcast.
Yeah. It's called Actualize or Die.
Actualize or Die. That's great. We'll have a lot of listeners on
that. No, let me back. I don't even know what I was saying. I lost my train of thought about, there's this DNA. This is where I was going. You and I think, connected so well, and you and I connected so well because we're both personally invested in understanding what it means to be human, what it means to be a better human, and apply that in every area of our life. And while we certainly have a long way to go in that area, and we'll always have a long way to go, just the basic interest in personal growth from a human standpoint. What does it mean to be human, and how do we grow? I think that personal interest spills over into business. And
absolutely,
what does it mean to be a human business, and how do you grow that way?
Yeah. Why don't you summarize you?
Cool.
Summarize you, and then talk about what we've learned what we've learned and discovered and helped our clients do in the last 4 years. Like how this idea of humanity is playing out. Cool. Maybe we can get into that a little bit. So, a little bit about me. I have a really interesting background. I would call myself a reluctant business owner. This is not my dream. I think most are, but that's...
I don't know.
I
think that a lot of people just they want... No, I would completely disagree with you, because if you go on LinkedIn, how many founder CEOs do you see that... Yeah. To be a CEO is chief. You have to be chief of something. Yeah. If there's nothing under you, then you're not the chief. It's
you have an idea, so you name yourself CEO of the idea, and there's no money coming in. Yeah.
There's a lot of people who just want the title. So I would call myself a reluctant business owner, reluctant CEO. That doesn't mean I don't like it. Doesn't mean I'm not good at it. It just means I'm a little bit reluctant. This is not my dream. So as Brandon alluded to, there was a period around 2017 where I cut my teeth in my career, like just doing marketing and branding consulting for a bunch of local businesses. And then I got a job at an agency, which was fantastic. I loved it. The experience that I got
Most
there.
people don't say that, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's agency life, so the schedule is crazy, but it was a different kind of agency. So I feel like extremely fortunate to have been a part of it. I'm going to shout it out, actually. It's called Design Vox in Grand Rapids, Michigan, owned by a guy, Mike Smith, and his wife, DC. They hired me when I was just doing a little bit of consulting for some local businesses, and they gave me a shot. They put me on the strategy team as a junior strategist, and it was awesome because I got this huge education in the world of design, but more importantly, human-centered design.
Yeah.
And if you're not familiar, human-centered design is this methodology where there are many parts to it, but I could sum it up best by saying empathy. You start with deep empathy for the user or the person at the very, very center of a problem that you're trying to solve. You understand their deep needs and pains, and then you design a solution around their needs and pains. You work backwards. See, most designers, they want to express, they want to create, they want to put their view of the world, they want to project it and say, no, this is how it needs to be. So what ends up happening is you have clunky systems that don't necessarily like align with what the marketplace wants from you, because
we're talking not just about like visual design. We're talking about business design.
Yeah.
We're talking about all kinds of like communications
we call it capital D design.
Capital D design.
Yeah.
Yes. Designing solutions, and it's amazing.
Architecting businesses, designing products, systems, communication, change management.
The stuff that actually makes businesses work.
Work.
Not just run, but like work, like be effective.
Yeah. So
you learned how to do that.
Yeah, I did. I was really fortunate because I was on this team. I was on the strategy team led by some really, really great people. I'll shout him out too, Len Netti. He was the leader of this team at the time. And what the education I got was so fantastic because one of the main accounts I worked on was United Airlines. And we were working on this internal...
You might not be allowed to say that, so we'll just say a large airline that rhymes with...
I can say it. This is...
You bited.
This is... You bited. You bited the sandwich.
Yeah. Their logo has a globe in it. That's all we can say.
No, we can say it now.
Yeah,
it's United Airlines.
They're fine. If
the work isn't, I don't know. So I was working on this, but the agency was hired. It was very interesting. They were hired to do internal change management, which was awesome. So we were on this project to further the impact of health and wellness initiatives inside of United. United was
It sounds huge.
It's huge. They at the time they had 85,000 employees around the world. 85,000 employees.
That's a panic
So
attack.
here's the project. Get them to be more healthy.
Yeah.
That's the project.
Yeah.
And how do you do that? Where do you start?
Yeah.
What in the heck? So, and we'll get to like where we are now, but the reason why that was so impactful was because I learned the art of design thinking, human-centered design, and going into the market and doing field research. We would fly all around the country. We would go to airports. We would interview ramp workers. We would tour their facilities. We would see where they took lunch. We would understand their whole world. We would understand, like we would sit and interview them for hours and just talk to them about their lives and their day-to-day, all to sort of unlock their why. You know, why do they work there? What are they looking for? You know, why are they healthy? Why are they not as healthy? You know, all of these things we would unpack, and then we would work backwards, and we built this gigantic change management communication plan, which impacted, I remember being in the room, there was probably 30 different, maybe 50 different stakeholders that had a vested interest in what this change management plan was going to be. There's HR folks, there's finance folks, there's marketing folks, there's operations folks. I mean, there's all kinds of people vested in like how this gets rolled out. So zooming all the way back out, I felt very, very fortunate to be at this this place.
You learned how to humanize a business from the inside out.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy.
Well, I not only learned, I saw the impact of like how much you could affect change by understanding people.
Why do you think these businesses, technology leaders, why is this overlooked? Why is this not focused on, especially in the world of like enterprise technology?
I think because when you're investing large amounts of money into a business, into growing a business from a capital perspective, like a investor perspective, you want to put your chips where there's traceable ROI.
Safe bet.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't think anybody would fault investors for wanting to do that. And to their credit, they're in marketing and branding specifically. There, in the past 2 decades, there were much clearer roads for where to put your money and what you get for that money. You put $1 in the machine, you get $2 out of the machine. You know,
so playing the slots.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that the human piece is by and large forgotten because there's not a precedent for return on the investment.
Yeah.
And also, it's a little bit of a longer game. Yeah. And I think,
especially when there's PE money involved or investment money, they've got to show ROI like tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm putting $100 million into a business, and I have a marketing leader that comes to me and says, I need $2 million to generate demand for this business. Well, are you going to get leads? Maybe.
Yeah.
How many leads?
How
many sales are going to come out of this?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We will see. Yeah. What do you mean we'll see? Well, in today's market, everything has to be an experiment. We have to learn. We have to figure out. We have to put money in to try things. We have to build a case for investment before we can ask for investment. You know. So, yeah. To answer the question, it is not at present directly connected or easily connected to return on investment. That's
so. Let me ask you this: what are we seeing happen amongst the B2B technology and digital transformation leaders and the business leaders that begin to humanize their business from brand to demand? What are some things that we're seeing happen to the ones that actually go, yeah, this is the way?
I think first we should start with what are the problems out there, and then talk about like what are the ones who are successful, what they're doing.
Absolutely.
So I'll flip it on to you.
Great.
What do you think are, when it comes to enterprise technology consulting, and marketing communications, branding, growth, revenue driving, what are some gaps that you see? What are some of the biggest problems that are just pervasive in the space?
I think one of the biggest gaps right now that we're seeing in this enterprise technology space and digital transformation internally is marketing, investing in brand, investing in like brand awareness. Investing in marketing in and of itself is kind of viewed as like a cost center. Yeah. Because it's not measurable. It's just something that we've got to do. Well, we can't look dumb on the balance sheet. We can't say we didn't invest any marketing dollars. So here's what we'll do. We'll throw some dollars over here. We'll put a marketing coordinator there, and we'll try to get some stuff put on LinkedIn, and we'll get some brochures made. Yeah. And this is like a very 2006 way, 1995 way even of like thinking about brand and marketing. Yeah. I think it's old, it's outdated. And the irony to me is that the digital transformation leaders that have this amazing message, right? Like if you're a digital transformation leader, whatever you sell, I don't care if it's ServiceNow, Salesforce, Microsoft, Oracle, NetSuite, SAP, whatever it is, you have this amazing message that the world needs to hear right now that they need to digitalize. And you have the resources for them to do it. And at the same time, there's also this simultaneous change happening in brand and marketing where you need to rethink what brand and marketing is, and you need to humanize. And it's like the same thing, right? Like you're telling them they need to change and transform, and here we are saying like you need to actually change and transform.
We're on the other side.
We're on the other side saying if you want them to digitalize, you have to humanize.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to say here.
That's good, yeah.
And it's hard because they can't see the investment. Well, how does putting all my things in the cloud and improving my workflows, how is that going to lead to business outcomes? And we're over here saying the same thing. They're saying the same thing back to us. How is humanizing and making my business and my brand relatable going to like impact my revenue and increase my pipeline? Well, we're going to talk about that on this podcast. Yeah. We're going to show them. We're going to show you, if you're a digital transformation leader, how this stuff works, how it happens, and the methodology behind it. So I think that's the biggest problem is it's just viewed fundamentally 10 years behind. And marketing's a cost center. It's not really invested in. A lot of the large enterprise clients that we work with, they don't even invest the right amount of resources into marketing to see anything happen with it.
Yeah.
So here's what happens. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Really, you should be investing, what would you say, probably 10% is what they say.
I don't even know. I mean, that's
top line.
That's where you start.
That's where you start.
For sure.
You start
experimenting.
You start at 10% of top line revenue into marketing. We maybe see these large companies doing 1.
Yeah.
1 is a big ask.
And bragging about how little they actually spend on
bragging about it,
being excited
chopping
about
marketing resources, and then here's what happens. Marketing contributes to almost nothing. Marketing doesn't do its job. Pipeline doesn't get filled. There's not enough leads coming in. The brand awareness is really low.
Yeah.
Nothing's memorable. The marketing and sales teams are disjointed, and then they go, marketing must not work. And this is
it gets less money.
So it gets less money. And this is not me advocating like give your marketing teams more money because like we own a brand and marketing agency. What I'm saying is it proves that the thinking and the value that's seen around marketing internally and even externally is outdated and it's just fundamentally flawed. And we're here saying like change your thinking and your understanding. Like marketing and brand awareness should be driving pipeline. It should be filling pipeline. It should be driving revenue.
Business strategy too.
Business strategy. So when we see brands start to understand this and these tech consultants start to understand this and actually invest in it, we actually see crazy things like this start to happen. We actually get told, turn off the campaign because we don't have enough sales guys right now. Shut it down. That's a great problem to have.
It's happened multiple times.
It's happened multiple times. And this is how we know like humanizing your brand, your marketing, how your products and offerings are interacted with, it's not fluff. Yeah. It's actually really strategic. And it's what the world is demanding right now. Because the way that trust is being transferred, you used to be able to push out some brochures and get some calls. Trust is now being transferred person to person. That's why we're doing this. That's why we're doing this podcast.
It's almost like the tactics have remained the same for the last 15 years, but the channels are different.
100%.
So like LinkedIn is opened up as a viable channel. The tactics are the same. Download our ebook.
Yeah.
Come to our event.
Yeah.
Let's have steak.
Look at my pitch deck.
Here's my deck.
Yeah.
It's like, to summarize what you're saying, there needs to be investment to be able to explore what will work for these businesses and to prove the viability of new tactics, new channels, new approaches. Because if you want the same results that you've had, keep doing the same things or you'll see equal or less.
And we're going to talk about that too on this podcast. We're going to talk about how this impacts lead gen. It's a hot topic in B2B tech.
Lead gen.
And there's a lot. I'll say this too.
Lead gen.
There's lots of great podcasts on like demand gen and lead gen.
Lead gen.
We're not here to echo what other people are saying. We're going to talk about how to humanize the way that you generate demand and how to go after the right humans so that the leads that come in are the right humans. We're going to talk about all that. We're going to talk about brand awareness and why people aren't investing in it and some data behind why they should and how to build a truly human-centric technology brand.
I'm gonna talk about the impact of this real quick and why it matters.
Let's go.
I call it tier 1 technologies. Microsoft, Salesforce,
The big boys.
Oracle, ServiceNow, tier 1.
SAP,
the giant one.
SAP.
They're built on partner ecosystems. Here's why this is so important and here's why this matters. Partner ecosystems are crowded. They are like being at a concert.
Nickelback concert. I have nothing wrong with Nickelback, by the way. I know you're the music guy.
Why'd you have to bring Nickelback?
Photograph was a great song.
It's a good song, but I think that they could have.
Our producers are cringing right now. They're like,
our producer loves Nickelback.
Yeah, that's true.
Being in the partner space is extremely challenging because there is a fixed quantity of business available.
Yeah.
It is increasing, but at a slower rate than you'd want. There's a fixed quantity of business available, and you have to go fight for your share of a fixed market.
Yeah.
So it's crowded. It's aggressive.
Yeah.
And I think by and large, companies struggle to differentiate. They struggle to signal themselves to the buyer as the best choice.
They're left brain people, which we don't have anything against.
Yeah, explain that.
Well, I think when you have brand and marketing, it's almost it's viewed as an only a right brain thing, and I think that's why there's not value attached to it. But it's not just right brain; it can be left and right brain. In fact, the strategic part of it has to be left brain, right? But I think for the most part in this technology world, the people that run these companies, and if you're listening to this, if you're a technology leader, you're probably very left brain. And I think a lot of times when you have a left brain person, this is what we see happen. They think that they need to communicate who they are and relate to their audience in a left brain way. But people do not relate to brands with the left side of their brain. They relate to brands with the right side of their brain. That's what the research shows. That's what our research shows. People have written books about this. So when you try to relate to people and sell really large, complex things in a left brain way, you lose them and you confuse them.
What does that look like when you show up in a left brain way? How do you?
I think that looks like if you have a complex technology engagement or offering, you talk about how competent and complex and all the ins and outs and the benefits and features of what your offering does, and that's all you say, instead of going back to the human way to do it, which is trying to understand on a human level the person that's buying from you and appealing to their human needs, appealing to their internal pains and leading with that and talking about that and simplifying what you do so that a sixth grader can understand it.
So basically, when you're in a partner ecosystem, it's extremely crowded. Yep. You're trying to differentiate. It's difficult to do because everybody's shouting about features and benefits. And by and large, the features are kind of the same because you're working on the same platform. Yeah. Unless you're in a very specific niche or you've been very innovative, you are competing for a share of work that a lot of people are competing for. Yeah. So how do you set yourself apart? How do you build trust with buyers in a way that makes them want to engage? How do you understand in the B2B tier 1 tech environment, there's not just one buyer. There is a round table.
It's like 5 buyers.
Yeah. There is a round table of buyers that have a vested interest in a purchase like this. We work with one client who sells ERP systems to global businesses, very, very large systems.
Some people are going to listen to this and go, what the bleep is an ERP system? You don't have to explain it. Look it up. Google it.
ERP system, enterprise resource planning. It's an old school term for managing basically the way your business works around the globe.
Yeah.
They're huge systems, extremely complex, tough to implement, tough to manage. But we have a client who's been very innovative, has found a niche in a very specific market. But when you go to sell a system like that, you have operations at the table, probably, and like the vertical chain of ops leaders, vice presidents, chiefs, directors,
asset managers too, everybody.
Yeah. You have sales folks, you have finance folks, you have so many people with a vested interest, and not only a vested interest, you have a lot of fear around, hey, if I pull the trigger on this multi-million-dollar purchase, what's that? And it goes south. Does my career go south?
Yeah.
So you have a lot of awareness.
Scary.
It's very scary.
Yeah.
So bringing it all the way back, the reason why we think we want to start talking about this humanity piece, specifically in software and tech consulting, is because we want to help people really connect with their market in a powerful way that builds confidence in their buyers' minds for them, that helps them connect on a human level, that helps them differentiate and stand out from the competition, that helps them add velocity to their pipeline and move deals through quicker, helps them have conversations that their competitors are not having, helps them get into rooms that their competitors are not in, helps them innovate in a way that their competitors are not innovating.
Yep.
There is this idea of humanity being overlaid and inserted into software consulting is revolutionary. It's been activated in B2C for a decade and a half at this point. So the data's there. But when you put it into B2B tech, which is what this podcast is about, you see some really amazing things happen. So we are here to help people understand what being human looks like in the software consulting world, in the technology world.
The value behind it.
The impact it has on every part of the business. And we're going to drill down specifically on some of the ways that it impacts brand and marketing and how you can increase brand and marketing's impact on revenue, on pipeline, the contribution marketing is making to the business by being more human.
Yep. I think to sum it all up, what we've learned in the last 3 to 4 years is this. There are 3 elements, human elements we call them, that really determine whether or not a brand, a product, an offering is actually going to sell. That's why we call it Humanity Sells. And so what we're going to do throughout this podcast is we're going to talk about those 3 elements. The first one is story. The second one is style. And the third one is strategy. And there's lots of things underneath each one of those 3 buckets, but we're going to unpack those 3 human elements and what they mean. And our goal for this podcast, like I talked about earlier a little bit, was we're really trying to help technology leaders and digital transformation leaders elevate their brand and amplify their message. We have a clear mission. We're trying to help 1,000 of these companies do that. I think we're going to hit it. I think we're going to hit it fast. We're already one of the fastest growing marketing agencies in the B2B tech space, just because we're helping these tech leaders do that. And so this podcast is a way for us to amplify that, because we want to help as many as possible, because ultimately we want to make the world more human. We want to put humanity back in business. What's the point?
Yeah.
And we deeply believe
well,
that
the point,
technology...
right? I need to make more money. Can
Yeah.
you help me make more money?
Yeah.
Can you
More
help me-
revenue.
Just more
More
revenue, more
dollars.
growth, please.
Yeah.
Where's
Well,
my
onto
money?
what?
More money. I need more money. I need another jet ski. I don't even own one. I don't even own one, and I need another one. Figure that out.
If we get enough people to listen to this, we might could make that happen.
Dude, a jet ski?
I mean,
you ever
don't
seen
even
anybody,
live by water.
You ever seen anybody frown on a jet ski?
This is true.
No, that's a Daniel Tosh joke.
Yeah.
That's not me. I wish I could take credit for that. I was about to steal a joke. Anyway,
Let's tie a bow on this first episode. We're really excited for our listeners here. Our goal is to make this valuable, to make this actionable, to show you how to humanize your brand, how to humanize your products, how to humanize your offering in a way that actually helps you sell more technology offerings faster. That's our goal. Subscribe. Hit us with a like. Hit us with a share.
share it with your friends.
Share it with your friends.
If you think that this will help them or help you,
Help us in our mission, I guess, too, is what we're asking. If you find any part of this podcast valuable, even if it's just you like Nate and I, but you think everything we're saying is dumb, subscribe and share this, because we are trying to help 1,000 of these businesses elevate their brand, amplify their message, and sell more technology faster.
peace.
Peace out.